Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hold on to your vaginas.
Indeed. That was the original line in Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Oh, it should have been.
It should have been.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched M3GAN 2.
M3GAN.
Mrs. Forrester, we have a problem. We're hunting an autonomous android named Amelia. She was built using your design for M3GAN.
How is this possible? You deleted it.
Apparently you didn't. Nothing in our arsenal can stop her. She's gone rogue.
I just realized that in order to fit the same rhythm of the line, it has to be the one syllable version of the word vagina, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, hold on to your vag.
That's another way.
Oh, yeah. There's others. Oh, yeah, you're right. There's the other one.
There's a few. Rhymes with bunt.
Mm-hmm. What are we doing? Well, yeah. We're covering M3GAN 2.0.
Yeah.
We covered the first one. We could have covered F1, but F1 looks good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It just didn't look like a. It didn't look like a movie that we would have a lot to say about.
A dad movie, settling into an armchair sort of way.
Yeah, that's a movie that, frankly, this is funny to say. Mm-hmm. I don't want to have to think about F1. Have you had this with when you do a movie for We Just Watch, where there's certain movies where you're like, I don't want to have to talk about this. I just want it to wash over me.
Right.
And then when someone asks me, and then I can just say it's good.
Yeah, it's fine.
F1 is that, where I'm it doesn't sound like I'll have much to say other than the racing scenes were cool.
Yeah, I mean, that is literally the only reason I'm interested in seeing it is because of the director and the fact that it's all the practical stuff. It's Top Gun in a racetrack. They actually went inside the cars and filmed them from inside the cars, just they did in Maverick. So
sounds cool.
Pretty sweet.
But yeah, we covered M3GAN 1. Do you remember?
It wasn't with me, though, right?
Really?
I thought
think
so. Was it?
I was going to ask you how you liked it, and that's a good answer.
I can't remember if I really thought we had a guest covering for me that episode for some reason.
I'm gonna look, I guess. Abe. Yep, Abe was there for M3GAN. That surprised me.
Yeah.
You've seen M3GAN, though.
I have seen M3GAN, yeah. I watched it on streaming.
I could have sworn we talked about it.
I'm sure we've talked about it off mic, but no, not in a podcast setting.
Yeah, so wait, how did you like the first M3GAN?
I didn't.
Okay. Yeah, my gripe with M3GAN is that the first one was if it's gonna be this, make it R-rated.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, do it. And then my opinion has evolved over time when my niece got really into M3GAN. My 4-year-old niece, I want to say. I think that's her age. And that's all to say. And then M3GAN made $1 billion, I assume. M3GAN was a hit. Mm-hmm. And so from that perspective, it's okay, I see what they did the other way, where they said, listen, adults don't care. We need to make M3GAN for younger people who are just starting out with horror.
Yeah, it's for teens.
Yeah, or tweens, or toddlers apparently. And so I'm just okay, I kind of get that. I kind of get that aspect of M3GAN now, where I'm okay, I see why they made it and who they made it for. So all that said, this is I would say the action sequel.
This is the Gremlins 2.
Yes, this is the Gremlins 2. How did you like this?
I thought this movie was fun.
Yeah, I think I did too.
My only complaint is well, not my only complaint, but like it was a little too long.
Yeah, so here's my big note. If I was giving notes on this, I would say it's not stupid enough at the start. The first half needed to be dumber and funner, like the second half, which was great.
Well, I tell you what rescues the first half, and that's Jermaine Clement.
Yeah, he's a delight.
Mm-hmm. As soon as he showed up, and just drove his wheelchair through their like table of instruments without acknowledging it whatsoever, like it was such an Ace Ventura move that I was like, oh, I see what this movie's gonna be.
This is an action comedy.
Broad comedy.
Broad comedy. Yeah.
They make a joke.
Like you said, it's Gremlins 2.
They make a joke about the fact that M3GAN obviously murdered Cole in the previous movie. Like he was very clearly dead.
It is basically the director being like, and the writer being like, you want another, huh?
Fuck it.
I can do another. Yeah, fuck it.
Let's just have fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us like $30 million more.
Yeah. I guess I still think, like you said, it's too long, and I think that's part because the first half felt bogged down. Mm-hmm. It felt like there was a lot of lore. There was like 60 characters, and like we were juggling through a lot. And the ending has this issue too, where we're juggling through a lot of like character swaps, and like Amelia's evil, and then good and evil, and like, oh, she's being controlled, but then she's not. And it's like, okay, like I feel like they could have simplified the story a bit here and there.
Yeah, like there was a couple of scenes where, like you said, the lore was broken up into like multiple scenes.
Yeah.
And it was like, this could have all been the same scene. I don't know why we needed to stretch this out.
It seemed like there was maybe a lot of masters or something. But all that said...
I think a lot of it was also, too, particularly up top, sorry, just real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Is probably to get anyone who maybe didn't see the first one.
Yes.
You got to maximize your audience.
Yes, it's a tangle. I'd also say, and this is a matter of opinion, it didn't botch it. But I didn't need it to weigh in on AI or technology that much, like the morality of it.
No, yeah.
I don't need that from M3GAN 2.0.
It was
very
pontificating on
light.
that, in this pretend universe where like this version of AI is a genuine concern, and like it's Skynet and we need to work with it and not against it. And
right. It's all to say, I didn't need it to be topical in any way or like try to. It's like not, it felt like it has brain chip stuff. It feels like it's a budding. Like
it's like slightly topical.
Yeah.
And that it has like a Musk type with the brain chip and like the conversation about AI being a huge buzzy thing. But this movie's version of AI and the world in which it takes place are very different from our own.
Yeah, it's fantasy.
Yeah.
It was a delight. I laughed out loud
a couple of times. I did note though that I laughed out loud in a silent theater.
That's great.
It was a full theater, but I was laughing at the parts that nobody was laughing at.
That's amazing. So my theater was fairly silent too. There was a young lady in front of me who really enjoyed it, but like I don't know, it didn't matter. Like it.
Don't misunderstand me. The audience was like popping throughout the movie.
Just at different parts.
Was just I was laughing out loud at the parts that nobody really was.
Right. The part that got me, and it is played for laughs, was when she starts singing.
The singing?
I loved the singing.
The escalation of it.
That was such a good. It's a very Marvel idea, which is have an emotional scene and undercut it. The difference is that it doesn't matter in this movie. Mm-hmm. We don't need the emotional scenes to matter. Again, this is a broad comedy. It really is. Like going into it.
The beat that really got me is when Allison Williams tries to stand up and he just jerks her back down.
Yes. And that I actually wish they played with this more, and they didn't lose this, but like the core of what made this fun to watch for me is the idea of like, what if you had to team up with Chucky? That's basically it. Or Freddy Krueger, where it's like M3GAN is still terrifying. She's still like, this weird haunting doll robot.
Yeah.
But they're all trying to like, the idea in this for people who haven't seen it. So the mother and the kid from the first one that M3GAN tries to kill.
That was her aunt.
Basically,
her aunt, basically mom.
Yeah. Yeah, by this point,
certainly
she's
now,
just calling it her kid.
Yeah, by the end of it, she just calls her my kid, which I appreciate that they didn't like really single the moment. They actually didn't acknowledge the moment at all. It just comes and goes.
Yeah,
but like she does pointedly refer to Katie as her niece throughout, and then at the very end, when she has that conversation with Megan, she says that I can't even have a conversation to connect with my own kid. But it doesn't focus on it; just kind of moves right past it. I was like, all right, Megan 2.0 for a small moment of subtlety.
There's some decent character moments. There's more of
the other thing I wanted to float this by you. I don't think this movie is badly written.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Well, it's more of like, again, it's navigating a lot of plot and a lot of lore. That doesn't mean the writer is bad.
No.
Because it's navigating it just fine.
In an entertaining
it's more
way.
It's more of just like, I bet there's a pass he could have done on the script where you just pared it down.
Yeah, it's 2 hours, and it's like, this could have been trimmed down a little bit.
Right. It feels almost like a mid-2000s movie. There's a lot of lore where it's like, there's this evil robot, and then she's trying to free this other evil robot, and then we learn that this guy...
the mastermind evil robot that was invented by Xerox. The Xerox company invented the Xerox company invented Skynet in this universe. They did it in 1984.
Right. You know what this feels like? It feels like the writer-director, and I mean, nothing against this, but it feels like them going, hey, look, I could make a superhero film. That's what it kind of feels like, where they're like, I could do a Marvel film.
Particularly at the end where it just straight up does Upgrade. Not that it wasn't fun, but it does just straight up do Upgrade at the end, where Allison Williams basically has to share her brain with Megan because she has a chip in her head. And she literally has Megan take over her body to do like awesome karate.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if this makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I just think this is...
Sorry. Go.
Oh, yeah, you go.
Well, yeah, just real quick, I think just in terms of the director's intent, I really feel like this is a satire of the tech industry.
Yeah, I could see that. For sure. It's definitely got that. It also feels like the director, again, like it's the writer-director of the first M3GAN, who did Housebound, which was a very good movie.
I still haven't seen that, yeah.
And so I think we're getting a director and writer who is like, okay, they're going to give me more budget for this because the first one was successful. I'm tied to M3GAN, for better or for worse.
It seems like slightly more latitude, too, because this movie is weird.
Yes. And that's the thing.
In a good way.
Well, I think they got in a way where they sat down, they went like, look, M3GAN went viral, right? M3GAN,
the thing that popped is this weird killer robot doing a TikTok dance.
Right. So it's like, we'll let you go nuts.
Yeah, be weird.
And then the director used this budget and this opportunity to be like, and I'm also going to kind of like stretch my legs here as a director. I'm going to make an action. I'm going to make an action, and I'm going to show that like I could make action. You know, it's good to not just do another M3GAN horror movie.
It was like, so totally different. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I think I would have hated the other version where they're like in M3GAN's back and we have to run from her. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's almost the Terminator rule. The first one is a slasher.
And the second one's an action.
Yeah.
An action thriller. They're both chase movies, though.
For sure.
Actually, the first three. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, there's a lot of ideas in this that I liked, too. Like putting her in the shitty little robot at first. That's a great idea.
Great idea. This is what I was going to say is like with the characters dynamics, they kind of do everything where it's like they
really
made a list.
do. Yeah, they really do.
Because they also, and I stupidly, I didn't think about this because they pay it off and then they pay it off again. Is the main lady? I forget what the characters' names are in this.
Gemma, that's Allison Williams.
Gemma, she is
from
building.
Goyles.
Right, she's building an exoskeleton that she shows off, and then they pay it off when the evil robot possesses it and it tries to kill her. And I didn't think about it anymore. And then they do a brain chip thing where, where he has a brain chip and then they sort of do that and they pay it off. And I'm like, cool, the brain chip was neat. I get it. And then they put the brain
all
chip
coming
in her.
together. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I go like, oh, okay. And then M3GAN starts speaking and controlling her and then puts her in the mechs in the exoskeleton. You're like, oh.
It all coalesces.
What a they're using every part of the things they introduce in a very delightful way. and then she gets to fight a bunch of people, and then that makes her character. I always like this. They've done it. They did this in Venom too, where the character is like, I don't like that you're murdering people, and then they have the character murder people and go, actually, murder is kind of fun. Instead of doing the opposite, where the character is like going to reform.
Yeah.
Everybody comes around
Just
to murder.
Getting them more into murder.
Yeah. So they do that with her, basically, is they give her all the power. And then, like, I love that she gets knocked out. And then Megan just keeps puppeting
Megan's
her
just
because
she still has control of the exoskeleton.
Yeah.
It's not her body at that point because her body's unconscious. So she couldn't swap over control.
Yeah.
So it's just like they do it really. I mean, it's you know, it's a little derivative.
It's very Upgrade again.
It's Upgrade, and it's also, gosh, what was it? Malevolent? What was that movie called?
Yeah, I believe so. Malevolent. Is that it? Malignant.
Malignant. That's what it is.
Like
Malignant.
Malevolent. Wait, that's another
That's
movie.
not it. Yeah. It was very much that scene in Malignant, except like she's asleep.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Like they'll just cut her like her head hanging and just kind of get whipped around.
Right.
Like she's on a car trip, has fallen asleep in the middle seat. The other thing I really like, though, just while we're on the exosuit, is when the evil robot takes control of the exosuit and the little kid comes around the corner and it's just quietly strangling that lady.
That was great.
Yeah, I was like...
That's freaky.
There was interesting in this movie. There was like a couple of genuinely creepy ideas that I thought it was so funny to have that in this movie because like in the previous movie that where they were trying to be scary...
Right.
Didn't really manage to accomplish that.
Yeah, I think
like when the evil robot drags herself out of the suitcase.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was good. It reminded me of the owl lady in fucking Under the Silver Lake.
Yeah, I think it works better when you're leaning on comedy and action to bring out the horror because I think you're right where it's like the first M3GAN wasn't really a horror.
No, but it was trying to be more, like, definitely really trying to be.
It was the genre of horror, but it was more of like a slasher horror that was more. That's where I was like, make it more gory than if you're going to make it fun,
right?
Because it's not scary, you know, like
right, and it's not quite fun enough. That first one.
I wonder if this person. I for the record, I don't want them to make another, but I wonder if this person could do a Ghostbusters. Because Ghostbusters has that where there's genuine moments where you're like, that's actually kind of scary, Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah.
But then it's mostly a comedy, you know?
The terror dogs are the reason I was afraid of the dark for 12 years.
Yeah, I saw it way too early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When they kidnapped Sigourney Weaver, that fucked me up.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's really scary.
The opening, the librarian.
The librarian is scary,
shushes them, yeah. So like this, I don't know. It's kind of that vibe where there's every now and then there's moments where I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty scary actually. Mm-hmm. It's not really a horror movie ever.
No, you just interject some spookiness.
Yeah.
Or some creepiness with this.
Yeah, more like creepiness in this where there's moments.
I really also respected that they didn't overdo the dancing. She only dances once.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd think they would. And they didn't do it like the TikTok dance as much. They do like...
She literally does the robot and like popping and locking.
Right. They did enough, this is weird to say, they did enough character work for M3GAN where you sort of like... They do a good job where she doesn't not feel like a murderer at the end and she's still a sociopath. Where she keeps being like by the end, she's like, I'm sick of apologizing for this. And like, you know, Jenna has a point. She keeps just going like, you murdered like six people and
4 people and a dog.
Yeah.
One of them was a child.
Yeah.
You killed a child. You killed Cole.
Yeah. Yeah, you killed him.
He was resurrected like Lazarus, but you killed him.
You killed him.
He's dead.
He's dead right now. He's a ghost.
Beyond the veil.
He has seen the darkness.
Anubis weighed his heart.
Oh, Cole.
Poor Cole.
Yeah.
And even that, like, because they have Cole being like this kind of like hapless, nerdy kind of guy, but you can obviously see that he's like a Hollywood actor, so he's actually kind of muscular, and they call that out in the film. Like
they do. He says these are gym
Katie's
muscles.
Like, well, you're in pretty good shape. You could probably get one of those guys. And he's like, all right. He like takes the compliment for a second, but then he goes like, listen, these are gym muscles. I've never won a fight in my life.
Yeah.
Like,
I like that
they
they have
her doing the fucking all fours thing. They did it once.
Yep.
And by the time she does it, like you were saying, they've done enough character with M3GAN where you're like, yeah, get on all fours.
Right.
Fucking freak this dude out.
It's more about M3GAN's journey of like the part where she dances, they make it a character moment where she's just like, she's experiencing, like she's actually just enjoying herself right now.
Yeah.
Like that idea that they're exploring this idea of M3GAN slowly becoming like an actual conscious being with morals.
Right. They have
like
to
choosing to do the right thing as opposed to having to be forced to do the right thing.
Because initially they force her to with that chip, which is pretty funny.
Right.
Like that's a funny, like that
it's a cool idea.
That stage of the character was really funny to me because that was basically she's still a murderer and wants to murder everybody. It's just that she can't. So,
I get very Terminator 2.
Yeah.
But like with a nice little twist where she's like trying to shoot through the crowd and her fingers twitching because she can't get a clean shot. Yeah.
It's a RoboCop thing.
Yeah. It's a cool idea. It's all the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, it's all things that we've seen before in like a mesh, like or a big blob of like.
But it justifies
movie.
it at each stage,
right? And it's all like a little different, and it's more of like. I kept going back to the same thing in my mind, which is who cares? Like it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm having fun. If this movie was boring, then maybe I would be more mad about the like when it's like, oh, they did this and they did that from this other thing. But like, it's more of like this. M3GAN feels like this weird, like I said, it's Gremlins 2, where it's like this like mush of culture and like nihilism, but like a more positive nihilism, where it's like it doesn't feel like it's like these idiots will eat up this slop. It doesn't feel like it's like disrespects the audience. No. It's more of like a victory lap.
The first one felt more like that.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest.
I think a comparison, even though they're not the same thing at all, is like Deadpool and Wolverine. Or Deadpool and Wolverine is sort of like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
This doesn't matter.
It's like
we're just having fun.
It's truly critic proof. Like that phrase has been around for a while. But a movie like Deadpool versus Wolverine is truly critic proof.
Right.
And I think this might be too. It's pretty close.
Right.
But it's not like you said, it's not like bad. It doesn't like, it's not insulting.
It's also not desperate, which is a weird thing to say. It's not like them constantly looking at the camera like, can this be a meme? Is this going to be a meme?
Like I said, it's like they don't, they only do the dancing once and they don't do anything that's like, obviously reaching for that. That's the biggest that's like the biggest indicator that you sort of understand how stuff goes viral, like how that works, is it has to happen organically.
Right. And I'm not actually sure anything in this will go viral.
I don't know that it will or not, but like I can imagine that like the approach had to have been like, well, we'll just, because it has to happen organically, right? You can't just sit down and be like, let's make a viral hit. You're just like, well, all we can do is scratch that same part of our brain that came up with the TikTok dance and just see what comes out, see what else comes out.
Right. They also, did you see their social media presence, I believe?
No.
M3GAN came out hard for trans rights.
Of course she did.
Yeah. And it's them kind of knowing their audience, where they're like, they know like what kind of crowd they want, right? And they don't really care about anybody else. Like that's the other. It doesn't feel broad. It doesn't feel like it feels very comfortably like we know what we are. We know who our audience is.
It didn't try to go 4-quadrant or anything, and it didn't like. I think the biggest difference between the two is that the first one felt defanged. Like it felt,
the first one,
it felt like it was a different idea that was compromised on a lot and just came out as not very good. And and a little pandering. Well, not pandering, but like just not very good, I'll say.
It felt like it didn't know what it wanted to be yet.
Yeah.
Because it's like, are we a horror movie or not? Are we a meme or not? Like that hallway scene, if you think about it on the page, it could have come off really scary in that scene. Her like coming down a hallway doing a weird dance.
She dances maladroitly. Like you can see that on the page, and like there's a number of ways you can interpret that.
Right, you could do a really scary version of that, but it feels like at some point they are like, let's just make it funny. But then they didn't quite know how to do it. I don't know. Yeah, it really feels like the first M3GAN. There was a lot of compromise or a lot of like them kind of going back and forth because it's untested. And like, yeah, maybe I bet the script was maybe R at first, and then
I'm certain it was. Yeah, there's an R-rated cut of it.
Right, and so like this one, now that they've sort of found that audience and know exactly who they're aimed at, I don't know. I don't know. It's and then the action aspect of it. And that it's funny because there's also just a lot of talking in this. The first half to me dragged a little.
Yes,
but it's still always fun. It's more comedy often than action.
Yes,
there's just a lot of components.
Mm-hmm.
There's Christian or whatever. The moment I saw him, I was like, "Well, this is the villain."
All the seeds they plant too, though. I mean, it's always obvious, but like I appreciated that every little breadcrumb, a little bit of mystery they dropped was like it perfectly adds up to him. Like you're like, yeah, that's him. Obviously. Yeah, he stole the plans from you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's behind the robot to make the government understand that AI is bad. Yeah, no, it's him.
Right. That actor also, like, he plays it real dull at first, and then the moment he becomes the villain, he's like a new man. He's a delight.
Yeah, he has a lot of the things.
Full villain.
He has a lot of the things that I laughed at in a silent theater. Just some of his lines, his delivery specifically. But you're right. He's kind of the same dull guy.
Yes. Well, he's like a tech boss.
Yeah.
That's what I liked. Is he was the whole time like a tech boss. Mm-hmm. He reminded me of any other tech boss but he's just evil. But he has that detached nature to him.
Yeah.
Where she says something like, "I hate you," and he says like, "I'll get my team on that."
You're not my type, is what.
You're not my type, and he's basically putting a brain chip in her to change her personality. And she says, "You're not my type," and he says, "I'll get my team.
To work on that." Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great line.
Yeah.
Great line.
Yep.
Like they're using the tech bro language. I think that's what it is. It's bringing tech bro into the villains that they are into like cinema, which we're going to get more and more of, right? We've seen attempts. If you remember the last Jurassic World, it's like a Steve Jobs or a Tim Apple type.
Tim Apple.
Only it's Dodson as that character, if you recall. It's a mess.
It was a real hideous mess.
But they don't know what to do with that. So, like, this is weird, but in that one, they kind of just, like, Steve Jobs him, and I was almost like, that's old news. Like, that's the wrong
Steve
era?
Jobs has been dead for almost 20 years.
Right, and he's the guy all the tech bros want to be,
well,
right?
no, it's more like 15. Anyway.
Yeah. Whereas this feels way more modern, like, .com-y, like this feels like it was written by someone who's worked in one of these offices more.
Oh, yeah, and I like, again... the surprisingly subtle moments of M3GAN 2.0. They really make a very strong argument against a lot of stuff that's just accepted in the tech industry. For instance, the fact that so many things that we depend on as public goods and services and infrastructure are maintained and managed by private industry. So, like, when Jermaine Clement is killed and she takes over his cloud computing servers, she has control over, like, I think 70% of the power grids in the country.
They do a good job
and that's, like,
with him.
A real thing.
Yeah, they do a good job where he's like an Elon Musk.
Yeah.
It feels like. I think even his name sounds like it's a
Alton.
dumb name.
His name is Alton. So, yeah.
Alton something, though. It's
Alton Appleton.
Appleton.
Yep.
That's dumb. But they do a thing where he's like impressing a lady by shutting off the power grid. And that feels like where it's like...
he's impressing Amelia, the killer robot, by shutting off the power grid.
Where they hone in on the fact of like, Elon Musk is an evil genius. This guy is not an evil genius.
He's a dipshit with his finger on a gigantic button.
Right, who's the boss of a lot of smart people. And they hone in on that idea with him where they're
with Allison Williams.
Yeah, they're making a case. They're trying to make a case of why the terrorist is actually kind of like where they're coming from.
The tech industry,
Yeah. Yeah, Allison Williams, they have a great part where Cole is just like, you're always the Wonder Woman until you need us. You're always like, you take all the fucking credit for everything until, And
you don't really notice it either because it's just kind of like, you're just kind of rolling with it and you're like, oh, well, she's the main character and these are her two like comedy sidekicks. But then when he points it out, you're like, oh yeah. Yeah, that is kind of true.
Interesting note about Allison Williams in this is that she's kind of the antagonist. You don't like her in a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
At least I didn't. When she starts like going hard against Megan. And at this point where it's like, it's Megan. It's Megan's movie, like.
Yeah, we're with her. We're with her.
Yeah, and so like, and she's kind of like a hypocrite at times, and like, she is like, I don't know. They do a good job with that, where it's like she's not a villain, obviously.
Yeah,
but she's not particularly likable all the time in this movie.
No, not at first. And you can, I think you're right. She is one of the antagonists because, like I said, I think this is. A veiled satire of the tech industry, but she's like part of that, right? She built Megan. She built Megan as a child's toy,
Right.
And it's this like sophisticated killer robot.
Yeah, I still don't know exactly what they're trying to say in the end.
I think it's just that too much power in the hands of dipshits.
Right, it's sort of like the ego hits everybody, right? Which is like, she's building this exoskeleton. She's like, I'm going to change the world. They're all like, I'm going to change the world. They have this complex, this God complex across the board, even if they're doing it for good or for evil, including the villain who's way on the other side, who's like, I anti-tech, but then is using tech as well.
Right, and justifying it to himself.
Right, it's what they're trying to say, which is that like, tech makes our lives easier. We can't deny that about technology. Like it would be silly.
It's crippling us with convenience.
Right. It'd be silly to pretend like it isn't a positive. It's just that humans, they do I've seen this lesson a few times where they're like, we have to be better parents, like to the AI is what she's saying.
Yeah.
And there's this, and I do, it's cheesy and it's like convenient, but I agree with that. When I was researching that some more news about smartphones, like the thing I always landed on was like, if we just gave kids like malls and places to be and things to do, like that would take like that idea of us being like those damn smartphones. And it's like, yeah, but like, have we given the kids anything else?
Kids can't hang out anywhere.
Yeah, we can't take away their smartphones if we're not giving them anything else to do and we're not engaging with them. And there's a lot of studies showing that kids often will be on smartphones a lot more if their parents are. Like I learned it from watching you, right? Where it's like, if you don't engage in the kids, et cetera, et cetera. And so like this is kind of landing on that, right? Where it's like, you can't really just like throw all the technology into a fire. Well, you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
But you also like, I think obviously a way to interpret that is we need to be responsible with technology as we create it. Like the movie is sort of like all the Jermaine Clement we meet and Allison Williams, of course, she built the droid in the first place. But like it's stuff that's just assumed to be good. Oh, and her exoskeleton. Right. It's just like all technology is immediately good and approved, and we should build it because we're going to change the world. And at the end, she's like, "We need to be more responsible about how we're great." I mean, it's veiled in cheesiness, but I think, like I said, I think a way to interpret that is just flat out saying there needs to be responsibility in this industry.
It's Jurassic Park. It's Jurassic Park of it all. Yeah, and there's this idea of like everybody needs a level of moderation in their life with things in general, right? Like cigarettes, there's a reason they have warnings. There's a reason people try to quit smoking. You know, like it's that where it's like you don't really want to ban them. But you'd rather exist in a world where everybody understood the dangers and understood that moderation. And right now we're at a point where we're trying to figure that out still, right? Where we're trying to figure out what's dangerous, how it's dangerous. And people are just throwing new inventions out left and right.
Oh yeah. And that's not like, it's not a deep observation or anything like that. And the movie certainly does. It's there, but like the movie never underlines it. Like it's just kind of like you can tell it was more like of a starting point. So like hard. There's elements of it in there, but it's not really what the movie is about.
Right. It's hard not to make a movie about AI right now and not feel like you have to say something about it. Mm-hmm. And to their credit, they don't really talk about AI specifically of that much in this.
No. But yeah, anyway, the observation that like it's like the development of technology in like Silicon Valley and everything is sort of very amoral. Like it's never like it's like, oh, this program can do this, and it's like, well, yeah, it can do that, but it can also do all these other very obvious harmful things,
right?
And it's always like, well, that's not my responsibility. I created the tool. It's up to you how you use it. It's like, well, you need to have a little responsibility.
Right. Honestly, and people might debate me on this, it's like when people talk about movies not being political, and you're like, every movie is kind of political.
Yeah, every movie has a point of view.
Because movies draw moral lines to tell a story, and how you draw those lines can reflect real things.
It is, in fact, one of the only ways to tell a story.
Yeah. And so, like, and it's okay. Like, the EPA can be the villain in Ghostbusters, and we can all understand that it is still a movie, you know, like it's still silly. But you like it's silly to say like it's never political or not political when you're making a technology too. You're like, it's that constant, like, you know, when Apple creates the iPhone, they seem to have known, to their credit, that at some point cops are going to be wanting to look at those phones, right? And they figured out those policies pretty early. You know, it's stuff like that where it's like, it seems like there are people not doing that. They're inventing things without thinking about it.
Right. The creation does not excuse you from the responsibility of, like, the onus should still be on you to be aware of all of the ways in which this thing that you're pushing or developing or creating can be abused. Like, you need to be aware of those things and address it.
Yeah, exactly.
And because it's technology, like, we just don't, like, Elon just gets to have self-driving Teslas do
whatever.
Test drive, just freely on the road using all of us as test subjects.
Right, and they're showing that in this, where the villain, he's talking to the United Nations, he's like, where you're like, this guy, he's embedded in our infrastructure, is the idea of his character.
Yeah.
And they don't bring politics into it. It's, again, it feels very like they reference the president. He's talking to the United Nations, and it's like,
and it's a bipartisan bill on AI.
Right. It's again, it feels very mid 2000s, where it's like the political world is like this just fantasy version of politics, right? Where it's like, if the president finds out, then that's bad. Period. You know, where it's like, it's a faceless good president, or like a not necessarily bad president or whatever.
A just president, I suppose.
Yeah. Again, they're not digging into it. They don't need to. It's not about any of this shit. It just knows it has to, it's on the fringes of that, so it has to, like, that becomes a component. But it's very funny how this movie just spins out of control now that I think about it, because it starts with like there's multiple layers in this. There's multiple compounds and layers.
Yeah.
I like the joke where he says, we got to get back to the lair. And he's like, did you guys say lair? They have competing layers.
I like that. I like that it's a bunker that Megan lured them down into.
Yes. Yeah, there's this whole thing they do where like, and I liked this where like the implication is that Allison Williams is kind of mediocre, but is like Megan has been keeping them like she had a book and it sounds like she didn't sell many copies, but Megan
bought a bunch of them. Yeah.
Bought a bunch. Like they just have, and they have like their rent is really low and she's not questioning it. And stuff like that for this really nice place. And it's all, they never flat out say it. I don't think they do some, again, it's some nice storytelling where they never like flat out say certain things that you can just infer it, which is that of course, like, yeah, Megan's been doing all of this. Like she's been their guardian angel, basically.
She points out that she's been there, but yeah.
Yeah. And slowly building a bunker under.
Yep.
It's the same with Megan's
cave.
Right, with Megan's character, they don't lay it on thick that she's becoming like self-aware or she's becoming like it's just a slower progression. I mean, it is pretty on the nose.
Yeah. It's not a sophisticated film.
No, again, it's the main purpose of it is to be fun.
Yeah.
And it achieves that.
Yes. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, I think.
Again, I wish the first half was a little...
Yeah, it's a little slow in the first half.
Yeah, they have to set up a lot of stuff.
It doesn't really pick up speed until she's in the little my buddy robot.
Right. I think that's when they need to take a page from Terminator, where it's like 20 minutes in, there needs to just be a moment of like, oh, we gotta go, let's go.
A guy walks in with a gun.
Yeah, but they did need certain components, like Megan not having her body for a lot of it was very fun. Like putting her in that little doll.
And then later putting her in the chip. It's funny how it's fun how they found ways to use every part of the buffalo.
Put her in the smart home as well.
Yeah.
Like she's software,
she
so she's just floating
FBI
around.
dudes up in the beginning.
Oh yeah, that was so
with
fun.
Like an ice maker and a Roomba.
Yeah, those jackass FBI agents who are like breaking in. I like that the FBI is they're not a good character. They're not like evil. But
no, he's just a doofus.
They're just assholes. Yeah. Yeah, they got to kidnap her right away.
I like that dude gets impaled later and he's just fine.
Yeah. He gives them his phone.
Yeah. His tracking phone.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It gave me vibes of the mid-2000s, but not in a bad way. Like, it felt like it was invoking that in a retro way that we're going to see more of.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
This is what's weird about this movie is like, I don't know, I could see someone hating it, but personally, all the things in it that would normally rub me the wrong way, the nihilism of the storytelling, the retro mid-2000s, all of that kind of gets counterbalanced to me of the fact that I genuinely enjoyed moments of it. And that's subjective, right? Like I laughed at the moments that you're supposed to laugh at. I enjoyed some of the action. Like, it was a fun story. They give the little girl the karate stuff. Again,
I love that it's a keto.
Yeah,
a fake
karate. She's
really
into Seagal.
By a fake karate man.
Yep. But again, like, it's all very convenient plot-wise. There's all these components where it's like, okay, the kid can fight. This person can fight. That thing can happen. Like, it's so... Again, it's nihilistic in that sense, but it doesn't feel like the kid learning how to fight. It's like, yeah, I could. They work it in right where she's like, I'm trying to raise my kid to not be on her phone all the time. We thought karate would be a good way to do that, and after what happened in the first movie, it makes sense, right? It's like that's something she would gravitate towards is self-defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame she picked Steven Seagal's make-believe karate, but she does use it to break Chris John's arm at the end.
I liked the dumb joke where she's using the movie names to clue her off and the kid doesn't get it.
Can't pick it up.
It's really dumb.
Yep.
There's some really dumb things in this that I laughed at. Or at least smiled at. It was like, that's cute.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The tagline could have been "Who gives a shit?"
Yeah, who
Megan
gives a fuck? I mean, it basically was.
Shit.
It's this bitch versus that bitch.
Yeah, and they know their whole campaign is like, listen, we're doing this. All right, we're doing M3GAN 2.0. We're doing a sequel. It's an action movie. You're either gonna like it or not. come see it or not. Like that's
Yeah, I do.
don't know.
Yeah, I do want to say though, it's like not the tone of the trailer.
no. Again,
Like the trailer's a little misleading, honestly.
I would compare it. This is a hefty comparison, and it's not exactly the same. Like it's not the same style, but to the tone of like a Shane Black film, where Shane Black, or even Taika Waititi, where it's like we know none of this matters, but we're not gonna. The characters aren't gonna act like that,
Right.
Like the characters are gonna take this shit seriously, and that's the vibe. The vibe is like nobody ever doesn't take the moment seriously. It's earnestly done while still being silly, you know?
Yeah, which I think
And
is
that goes a long way.
Yeah, that's like, again, like with trying to create a viral thing, if that is indeed what they were trying to do another time around, it's just a thing that has to happen organically, and you can't be like campy intentionally. Like it has to be done like in earnest.
Right. And there's a lot of conveniences where it's sort of like it doesn't matter if the flow is right, if you don't care, like if you're having fun. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There was something I noted where it was like there was something that like M3GAN does later that I was like, why didn't you do that to begin with? There's a few moments of that where it's like,
oh, I didn't notice any of those.
I don't know. I have to watch it again. There's a few like conveniences like that again, but none of it really fucking matters. Because it's like we're not making Oppenheimer here, you know, like we're just making a fun action comedy. So they got that assignment, they ran with it. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say about it.
I'll probably watch this movie again, unlike the first M3GAN.
I probably will. If they release an R-rated cut, I will watch it.
Yeah.
This cut was basically R-rated.
Yeah, it was right on the edge.
It's
They were
violent.
doing very sneaky things. Like she punches a guy head off, but they
You see in
swish pan to
silhouette,
the shadow. Yeah.
The news report covers up her breaking the dude's neck, like turning his head completely around.
It doesn't need to be R, I would argue.
No, it truly doesn't. Like the way they handle it in this, it's still pretty. Like you said, it's like right on the edge. But like I think the way they handle it in this is fine.
I think so too.
Like it's slapstick sometimes, and it's serious when it needs to be, I guess, in terms of the violence.
I hope the fans of the first one enjoy this one, because it does feel like it's also like just fun for people who weren't a fan of the first one.
Yeah, like honestly, like the only part I actually reacted to, now that I think about it, was when they're just stun gunning, like cattle prodding the bejesus out of M3GAN at the end, and like her face is falling apart. Like that's the only time where I was like, no.
Yeah, no, M3GAN is they're like M3GAN is the hero.
Yeah,
here. M3GAN is our hero.
Yeah,
to the point that people who don't like M3GAN for reasonable reasons are our antagonists in some moments.
They're cast in an unfavorable light.
Let M3GAN kill.
Yeah.
Let her kill. Yeah.
Let her live. Let her live her life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's straight up Terminator. It really is that the killer robot is now the protector robot. I don't know if they'll make a third. I don't know where you could go with this, but you certainly could make a third.
Yeah. I hope they don't.
Need to.
Yeah, I hope they don't unless they're able to come up with another like inspired way to do this, like maybe some more. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, because this is the thing is like once you go horror to action, horror to action comedy. Yeah, usually where you go is just action some more, and I don't know if that's the right
that's not
way to do it.
Yeah, that's not what I would want from a sequel, but
I can see M3GAN goes to space.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
M3GAN runs for political office.
Yes.
President
a political
M3GAN.
thriller. A political
like
thriller.
A Tom Clancy
like
thriller with
all the
M3GAN.
President's Men or something. Like really stuffy. Mostly people in rooms talking.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck it. They could do maybe a romantic comedy or something where M3GAN's now like older. She gets a job. She's like a hotshot lawyer. She meets another robot, something like that.
Yeah.
There's a few places you could go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say
Courtroom
try not
drama.
to do. Oh my God! Put Megan, do like Measure of a Man from TNG, but for Megan.
Yeah, put M3GAN on trial. I'd watch the hell out of that movie.
Oh, I would, because she does. You probably should like the law. There's some legal.
She should
things
be
here.
destroyed, probably, but
I get it. In this universe, in the universe, if I was living in this universe, I'd be like, maybe not have Megan. But I don't know. She's fun to watch. Yeah, I don't know where they're going to go with this. I'm sure they will. I'm so curious how they'll title it, since they already have a 3.
M3GAN 3.0.
Yeah, I guess so. I
M3GAN 95.
I'd say go into this movie. It's hard, man, because it's like all comedies. It's like if you don't find it funny, you don't find it funny. So you're not going to enjoy yourself. So I don't want to overhype it, but it is a movie that's like, I don't know, if you're like in your 20s and you want to like hit up the bar and then go see a movie with friends, this would be fun, right? Or when this comes out on streaming.
Yeah,
like,
this is definitely a movie you watch.
Get together.
Yeah, like with a big room full of people.
And it wants that, and I guess I really do stand by that it knows that that's what it is without feeling too hard like it's trying to be that.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is weird to say, because you're right about the marketing. The marketing really wants it, like, is really like, this is what we are.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I don't have anything else to say
I'm
about
out of things to say for M3GAN 2.0.
Yeah, a nice surprise. Pleasant surprise.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I also wanted to like it. I went into it being like, I have nothing at stake here. Like, it's M3GAN 2.0. It's very clearly, again, to the marketing's credit, it very clearly didn't hide what it was. And it was like, why would I be mad at this movie? Like, the worst thing it could be is boring. So
yeah, absolutely.
And it wasn't. Yeah.
That's any movie, honestly.
Oh yeah, but like, it depends. I like a good dull drama. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but you're engaged, though, so it's not boring.
You're engaged. But yeah, like, the bar is, I guess, low for this, but they set it there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Or not, because they are saying, like, we're going to be funny and fun, and they could have easily miffed every joke,
That's
right?
a very easy thing to just totally whiff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Folks, we have a Patreon, if you want to check that out. Patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. GAMEFULLY unemployed. For $5 a month. For $5 a month, you get access to a bunch of exclusive podcasts. Tom and Jeff watch Batman. Fox Mulder is a Maniac. Star Trek The Next Futurama. Spiel Boys. Himboos, our brand new Supernatural podcast. You get our vibe. Do you like that vibe? You should check us out. Yeah. We also watch movies every Friday night with our patrons. I would watch this on a Friday night.
Honestly. We've watched M3GAN, haven't we?
I don't know if we have.
We might. No, I don't think we have.
Thing.
Yeah.
Again, M3GAN, the problem with the first movie is that it doesn't go hard enough.
It's true, yeah. It's just kind of nothing.
It's trying to be more suspenseful and more like scary. And it's like, I'm glad they just course corrected here.
Yeah. Let's start all over again. We also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store. We have all kinds of cool original artwork by cool original artists like Michael Vincent Bramley, Starlene Hodge, Justin Brown, and others. Check that out. Rate and review this podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. Check out our new show, Badical, BADICAL. I don't know. Be nice to your robots. Say thank you. Say thank you to your voice assistants.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Say thank you. Tell them intimate details about yourself. Mm-hmm. Tell them your social security number.
Share all of that stuff. Obviously. Yeah. Might as well give it power of attorney too.
Yeah. God. Yeah. Fuck it. They're better than us.
Mm-hmm. We need to just hand everything over.
Yeah.
I, for one, will be relieved once I don't have to make any decisions anymore.
God, yeah, that's going to be nice. Like being a child.
Or in the sweet embrace of death.
Hey, listen, our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can find him on twitter.com as the Corlew, or go to shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our channel artwork is produced by Michael Vincent Bramley. For more of his work, go to mvbramley.art. Our episode artwork is by Justin Brown, available on Twitter as Justin T. Brown or at artnessbyjustinbrown.com. And finally, additional artwork is by Starlene Hodge. You can find her work at starlenearts.com or on Twitter as StarleneX. Cool. Goodbye.